there, and welcome to the Bitcoin Takeover podcast. This is still season 12. You can still see Pac-Man eating all the fiat behind me, regardless of what's happening with the price. And my guest today is Lord Kristaps of Bitcoin, a man whom I've met in Latvia when I was there at the Baltic Honey Badger conference, who works on JoinMarket, and he's also a maintainer for the project. He also works on Bitcoin Core. He also works on a bunch of other services for Bitcoin. Basically, he is like, I was about to say like a Swiss knife of all sorts of free open source projects, but he's more like a Latvian knife of free open source projects. So hi, Lord Kristaps.
Hi, Lord.
It's really good to have you. I did have you on my panel at the Baltic Honey Badger, and we did discuss a little bit about what you do in Bitcoin privacy. And let's start with this. What is your take on Bitcoin privacy, and what do you think are the limitations to it?
This is something that I don't know. I don't see limits. Well, we all the time figure out new ways how to use, I think, Bitcoin more private way. At the same time, other guys are figuring out how to limit our privacy, and I think it's like never-ending fight between privacy and Bitcoin. China knows, but there is also that term like Bitcoin spy companies.
Yeah, there's this always ongoing fight between those who seek the maximum amount of privacy and those who try to break it. And let me make this easier for you, because maybe asking you in general about privacy is too much. How would you describe the JoinMarket project, and why should people use it?
JoinMarket is the first thing that I think it's important. It's most decentralized one. Like, you don't have some for-profit company behind it. And that's actually, well, that's both good and bad. It's bad because developers don't get paid for working on it. Okay, yeah, there are some people can donate money for JoinMarket, but it's not too much. So yeah, that's it is most decentralized. But the idea how I started looking at JoinMarket, initially, what I liked about it, it has that incentive structure that way I started to run yield generator bot back in the day before I contributed to project. Although I think very soon I found some typo somewhere or something to fix, as usually our first contributions, that you just put Bitcoins in some wallet, and then there is some bot running, and you get some passive income. You earn some Satoshis for without giving up your private keys. And I really like that idea, that it's kind of like free markets. Yeah.
Right, so I feel like at this point we need to explain what you just said. Basically, in other privacy wallets like Wasabi, you have a coordinator that's provided by default, and you're dealing with a company most likely that runs that CoinJoin coordinator. But in JoinMarket, you become the coordinator yourself, which means that when you coordinate other people's CoinJoins, you also get a small fee according to how much you set it. You can ask as much as you want for your rounds, and people decide if they want to join it or not.
Almost like that, but actually it's a little bit opposite. The coordinator is actually, well, there is that maker-taker model. Like, there is market makers who provide liquidity for CoinJoins, who runs that yield generator bot. And then there is market takers who just want to have CoinJoins right now. They can have CoinJoin with any amount. That also actually how it differs from other projects. That you don't have that round system with some like predetermined dominations. With JoinMarket, I can pay directly to the merchant using CoinJoin. And that market taker is actually coordinator. And he pays for the market makers who provide liquidity, some fee for providing that liquidity. And and market makers are those who choose whatever fee they want to charge, and market takers or who are coordinators for their own coin joins, they can also choose. They can just take the cheapest ones. They can take some randomly, like choose randomly other parties or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I'm happy I got it wrong so that you could explain it. And there is a reason why JoinMarket did not get much traction, right? It doesn't only have to do with funding. There's also this argument that it's more technical, and the same that people who can use command line.
Yeah, well, first it requires you to run full node. And that's for some people. I think in older days, it was more common to use full nodes, then people started to do it less. Like nowadays with all the projects like RaspiBolt and RaspiBlitz and Umbrella and whatever else, I think it's again becomes more popular to run full nodes. And then I think that's one of the reasons why JoinMarket has become more popular again. And second, yes, well, for most of the functionality, you need to know command line. It's for example, to run yield generator bot that when you are maker that you earn fees, you need command line. There is graphical user interface for Qt, like you can use it on Linux or Windows, like desktop application, but it has only the taker mode that you pay for the coin joins. Of course, now there's like this year, I think there was first release. There is now that called Jam project, like it's a web-based user interface, which kind of looks also good. But I haven't still used it too much myself, so I cannot comment too much about that. But yeah, I think the user interface, user experience, it's improving. It just takes time, and when there is project where people don't get full-time salaries, of course it develops slower.
So why do you keep on developing if there are no financial incentives for you to contribute to the project? Okay,
now my first thing was, I started running the yield generator. The first thing was I started maybe fixing some small issues that I just didn't like myself about that software, like to make life easier for myself. And then I had that idea, but if I will also spend time working on improving user experience, and probably more people will use that taker side, like doing coin joins. And then if I'm running yield generator, maybe I will earn a little bit more satoshis that way. Mm-hmm. But actually, no, I can actually currently my yield generator runs with almost no fees. Like I switch it from time to time to 0 fees to some almost 0 fees.
Okay, so you're saying basically that a good way to make revenue from JoinMarket is to coordinate rounds?
There is no that round system. As I said, like with JoinMarket, you can pay directly. Like every payment can be CoinJoin. You can just, I don't know, you go to the checkout page in some web shop, there is, I don't know, BTC Pay server or something. It gives you Bitcoin address and amount, and you can do the transaction as a CoinJoin at that moment. But yeah, at the end of the day, it doesn't you will not get very rich currently by running that JoinMarket yield generator. But you get privacy.
Right.
At least for free. If even not earning some satoshis, at least it's free. You don't pay other parties for your CoinJoins.
So how do you compare the CoinJoins, as in the CoinJoin engine itself, with what you find in something like Wasabi or Samurai? How is JoinMarket different? Okay,
with both Wasabi and Samurai has that round system that there is like after some time they do that CoinJoin rounds where they mix the funds, and then afterwards people spend those bitcoins with non-CoinJoin transactions. With JoinMarket, there is multiple ways how to use it. Like you can also just run a so-called tumbler algorithm. There is the idea that you have some bitcoins and you want to mix them. Then you just give a software some few destination addresses. It creates schedule of multiple CoinJoins, chaotically mixing those bitcoins, and you end up with mixed bitcoins. Some people just run yield generator and passively mix coins. Then it depends on others how when other people will be doing CoinJoins, and how randomly they will choose your bot as a counterparty. And then from time to time you can switch from maker mode to taker mode to just spend bitcoins. And also difference is like Wasabi is doing like really big CoinJoins. Like there's a lot of inputs, a lot of outputs, really big transactions, a lot of counterparties involved in the same transaction. I think with Samurai it's just some 5. I think they have like 5 inputs, 5 outputs with each CoinJoin. Of course, there is other issues with Samurai. I don't know how much we want to bring that up here. Most important is if you use Samurai with default configuration without your own backend, I think it's called Dojo, then you are basically giving up your privacy to their servers, to the Samurai guys. So you are private against other parties, but not private against them. That's actually my difference. Like with JoinMarket, the thing is that only party that can see which bitcoins go where is the taker side. But the idea is that taker side is not that's not in their interest to give this information away, because they pay for CoinJoins.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you did mention that you don't want to get into details with Samurai, but I guess that's a bit spicy. As someone who contributes to code, do you think there's anything wrong with the way that they approach privacy?
I haven't actually looked at their code too much, so I don't know from technical perspective a lot of stuff. But what I don't like now, those guys are just they are sometimes I think spending more time doing fights on the Twitter versus just doing actual coding. And actually, we in a in JoinMarket, we try to at least top JoinMarket developers, we try to not get too much in these fights and discussions. I think it's better to just, cypherpunks write code.
Yeah, I understand that. And another issue that I see with Samurai, and I don't want to turn this episode into something which focuses too much on them, but they have these communities on Telegram, I'm not sure if it's also Discord, but they know who their users are. And that's an issue that I see, because basically you can figure out when someone says that they joined a CoinJoin round. Basically, if they have 5 participants and they know that one guy has joined this round, it diminishes the value of the CoinJoin for the other 4 who are part of it. And that's the way it goes. You can guess a lot of stuff based on the activity on these public groups, and that diminishes.
You should never publicly say anywhere in any platform like, oh, here was, I don't know, cool CoinJoin transaction where I participated in. Never.
Yeah, but it's usually not like that. It's usually newbies who ask questions like, I'm part of this CoinJoin, what happens next? Should I keep it like this? Is the anonymity set good enough? Should I remix it and stuff? And that's what I think is bad for privacy in general. And the fact that they have Telegram groups for support, as opposed to having some sort of email address, which is more private, reveals that information to people from the outside who want to take a look and are interested in this kind of information. So that's also one of my criticisms of it, of how they handle the situation. On the other hand, it's efficient, and I can understand this argument. It's easy for them to provide support. It's easy for them to build communities, and when they have a community, it's easier for them to look strong on social media when they get into fights. So from that point of view, I think that they are doing a great job defending their product. But at the same time, this is a privacy project, it's supposed to be only about privacy. And even if you use a pseudonym, there's only so much you can get out of it.
Yeah, well, I agree. Well, that's again, there is that thing of how JoinMarket differs. It's not a commercial company, so we like JoinMarket developers don't have so much motivation to try to attack other people. Like, oh, your CoinJoin implementation sucks because, well, I don't know, those reasons. Sometimes there is valid criticisms going from, I think, both sides, but most often it's like one person says, hey, but you guys are doing that and that wrong. And instead of telling like, okay, yeah, we understand it was, it wasn't our priority to do this first, we will fix it some point later. Instead, they attack back like, yeah, but you guys are doing that and that wrong. And well, I don't think that's the right way to do things.
I mean, it depends on how you define right, because it definitely gets them the kind of publicity that they want. They attract a certain type of Bitcoiners who even... So I spoke with a guy who's aware of the flaws, but still prefers Samurai because he likes the attitude of the maintainers of the project. And he's like, yeah, these people are hardcore. They can fight for what they believe in. They fight for privacy. But then again, there's a difference between discourse and actions. You can say something and you can do the opposite. Or you can be very quiet like JoinMarket people and do a lot, and not too many users know about what you're up to.
Yeah. Okay, I agree. Yeah, but
I mean, if you just write code as a cypherpunk, you're not going to go too far in terms of publicity. But it helps if you deal with cypherpunks and it's supposed to be a small project for cypherpunks. And that's my next question about JoinMarket. Do you think it's supposed to become mass adopted, or do you think it's just a niche project that's supposed to stay this way?
I think there is the one way forward. Of course, I'm not I cannot predict future, but the one thing I see, like JoinMarket is also, it's not only the wallet software you can use, it's also just protocol, how you coordinate coin joins. And I think one way forward would be to integrate JoinMarket in other wallet software, so that there is some JoinMarket backend and JoinMarket protocol, and then there is other people just integrating, so basically improving UX, because they integrate in their own wallet software already. And by the way, if we maybe last thing about Samurai, well, one thing is, I think, why people like to use it, well, because it's on mobile phones. Like, not everybody wants to use Bitcoin just on computer. With Wasabi and JoinMarket, you just use it on computer.
Well, the marketing piece for Samurai is that it's a wallet for the streets. So you're supposed to use it outside or whatever. But it comes with trade-offs. And
Of course,
we have to both admit that it's hard to do a privacy wallet on mobile.
Yeah. That is the reason why other projects haven't done yet. And actually, there's also another argument, like they are attacking Lightning Network. I don't understand why, because if you're talking about the streets, then Lightning Network makes most sense because of instant settlements of transactions.
Yeah, that's one of the weirdest part of their narrative. And they also, right now, they talk about the click and the maxis, because they also promote Monero in parallel. And it also kind of defeats the purpose. Okay, you work on a Bitcoin privacy wallet, which does something similar to Monero, except that it doesn't have confidential transactions. So basically, you're telling your users to use a different project while you develop this. I don't really get it.
That would, I think, more than would make it. If you wanted confidential transactions, maybe you should develop something, a liquid network, right? Because it's, at least they are kind of Bitcoins still.
About Liquid, I mean, I'm trying not to be mean. I have friends who work on Liquid and at Blockstream. But if you look at the blocks, they're empty. So if you use confidential transactions on
not popular,
Liquid, you have an anonymity set of 1. So it kind of defeats the purpose.
With by the way, are my video just starting to become blurry, or it's also on your side?
No, you're out of focus, so you should put the palm like this in front of the camera and let it focus. It happens with these webcams.
Okay, audio is more important. Yeah, but think I for example, I like to use like I think Liquid is the best platform for USDT. If you need stable coins at some point for something, I don't know, for brief times, for example, then Liquid Network is the best of the chains for Tether currently.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not too much into Tether. To me, the idea of stable coins kind of defeats the purpose. I thought we were building free market cypherpunk money.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's, of course, in long term we want that everybody uses Bitcoin, but like one I don't know. Have you noticed that I'm also started to recently contribute a project called SatSale?
I did see it in the description of your GitHub, but I was about to ask you about what it is because I don't know.
Okay. Basically, it's some lightweight alternative to BTC Pay Server. It's just like very lightweight Python software, easy to set up. And because I become at one point, I understood that, like, okay, in privacy, okay, there is CoinJoin software. That's great. We can mix Bitcoins with other Bitcoins and get some privacy that way. But we need more that circular economy, like more paying for goods and services in Bitcoin. So in that way, there is less KIC, like exchanges spying on us. And so I started to contribute to SatSale. And why I came up with this SatSale, because we talked about USDT, and I am trying to talk about like different small businesses and stuff, like to accept Bitcoin payments. And some are interested, but one thing businesses currently want, and it makes sense, if all their operations mostly become in fiat, like in USD or euros, it makes sense for them to not, when they accept Bitcoin, to convert it to fiat, right? Because they maybe need to spend it after 2 days. So it's not for long-term savings. They need to buy the goods, sell the goods and stuff. And SatSale has cool feature called weak hands mode. You can enable weak hands mode. Then if you have incoming Lightning Network payment, then it immediately swaps for USDT on Liquid Network.
Okay, so that's what the project is about. You have
no. That's
mode.
just one feature. I use it myself. For example, there is like site where people can send me money, like donations or whatever. It hasn't weak hands mode enabled, of course. I just keep Bitcoins. But now the idea of SatSale it's just from my experience, like BTC based servers, sometimes it takes some time to set up. It's more professional. It has more features. It has I think BitPay compatible API that helps it integrate to a lot of software that already has BitPay integrations. But SatSale is alternative, and actually that's my belief. We need alternative softwares for everything, like for privacy, for accepting payments, etc.
No, I very much appreciate that you're working into this. I guess the easy way out is to contribute to BTC Pay, but I guess you found your use case that was easier to integrate if you build something that's more lightweight. And I'm actually curious if...
for me it was easier. I tried to set up BTC Pay. I actually had it set up some time ago, but then somehow I think there was some problems and I didn't have time to deal with them back then. And then I found that SatSale and seemed like, oh, okay, there are a few bugs I need to fix. And then it's perfect for my use case.
Does it work on mobile phones? Because that's an issue with BTC Pay.
How it doesn't work on mobile phones, BTC Pay? I mean...
To run your own server, I mean.
You mean running server on mobile phones? No, you will likely just use mobile browser to connect to server, like both with BTC Pay and SatSale.
Okay, I spoke with some guys from Switzerland and they work on a project that's called Lipa. And they told me that they decided to create this basically because it works from the mobile phone, and restaurants, bars, all of these small businesses don't like to run extra devices, so they would rather just use the phones that they already have, and that's why they built this Lipa service. And I was curious if it's any similar with SatSale, SatSale.
Like Satoshi Sale. Yeah.
It's like Craigslist, right? But with Satoshi in the name.
No, how it's Craigslist? No, it's just like payment gateway.
I'm kidding, obviously.
Yeah, okay. Craigslist, okay. But actually, I need to check out, like, it's written in Python. Maybe it's somehow possible to run Python on Android or iOS, like, locally.
Sounds like a good idea if you ask me, but you're the wizard here. You're the Lord of Bitcoin, Lord Kristaps. And you told me before this interview that there is a backstory behind your lordship.
Yeah, it's actually I'm English Lord, not Lord of Bitcoin. Now there is, this you can buy those, like kind of you buy 1 square feet of land somewhere in England,
Oh,
and
in
then they give
Scotland, and they
you
plant a tree. Is it that
and
one?
they give you the land lord status.
Mm-hmm.
And one good friend of me just bought that one for me for the birthday. And I have like documents that I am Lord and stuff, but I haven't looked at too much. It's written there that technically, if I would need some legal, I don't know, documents or something in England, I could call myself Lord there officially, but I'm not sure how
I mean,
that stuff
you
works.
can be a lord, but you don't even have residency or citizenship, so I don't think it counts. I don't think it helps you get a visa
I
or
have
whatever.
ownership of small amount of land there.
I mean, it's interesting. Maybe you can get a second passport with that one. I don't know. Maybe you can go
Yeah, not
build a
sure
house
about
on
that.
top of that 1 meter of land.
No, it's less square feet. I think it's 30 centimeters or something like this. No, like this. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe you can set up a tube and sleep in it. Vertically, I mean, on
Yeah,
top
of
of the
course.
land that you have. I don't know, I'm just speculating. Anyway, you are a lord and you are working on these 2 projects which I mentioned, and there's also RaspiBolt and Bitcoin Core. Which one do you want to mention and describe first? Let's start with Bitcoin Core. I think it's more fun.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
What were your contributions to the project?
Actually, I remember my first contribution to Bitcoin Core. I was writing that script that you could do like fake coin joins. Have you heard about that idea of fake coin joins?
No.
The idea of fake coin joins is that you create transaction that looks on blockchain like CoinJoin transaction, like for example, JoinMarket transaction. But actually, all the inputs and all the outputs are yours. You're mixing with yourself. And the idea was that if you have such transactions, then you can never be sure that CoinJoin is actual CoinJoin. Basically, you bring some more chaos to the blockchain. And I was developing that. And I had I couldn't solve some issue with like transaction fees. Like it was like doing two small transaction fees below the relay fee. And I was like, no, my code everything is okay, but I cannot figure out what's happening. And then I started look at Bitcoin Core code, like when there is the error from Bitcoin Core, like all that code. And then I figured out, but it just says that your relay fee is not met, but it doesn't give you numbers. So to debug my script, I modified Bitcoin Core. Then I, of course, found problem in my script. But that was my first contribution, if I recall correctly. And I think, basically most of my contributions were related to that RPC layer. That's where other software talks to Bitcoin Core. And it was basically more or less like solving practical problems for yourself. But that's when you talk about not so technical people, then you can tell them that you are JoinMarket maintainer. And then you can say them, I'm Bitcoin Core developer. And I'll do your contributions. The JoinMarket is a lot bigger and more important. For a lot of people, it kind of sounds like, okay, that's Bitcoin Core developer. That's like, top guy.
Yeah, I know. I've also contributed to the Bitcoin Core website with, I think there was this verification page to verify the download. And I was in the middle of a live stream explaining to people how they can download and verify Bitcoin Core. And I downloaded it, the node was syncing, and I was like, let's verify the installation. And I realized that For Windows, which I was using for the demo, the instructions were obsolete because the software for GPG had been updated and the path for the files that you could type in command line in Windows, that was no longer applicable. So what I did was to propose a change to the correct path, and that got merged, and right now I can see that I contributed to Bitcoin Core, even if it was just a website. But yeah, that's the way it goes. You find something that is old and needs to get fixed, you propose it, and in my case, it was not contentious. It was not anything that required debate. It was just an update.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's I think how most people like start contributing to big projects. Like they just see some small issue, which maybe is one line of code or documentation to change, and yeah.
After Mt. Gox collapsed, that was really the precipice of me saying, right, this has to change. We need a totally transparent exchanging system and base it on gold instead of fiat.
Vaultoro is the hard money exchange which helps you beat inflation with instant swaps between the best stores of value known to man, gold and Bitcoin. Unlike most exchanges, Vaultoro understands the importance of transparency and security. All gold holdings are secured in top-tier Swiss private vaults and fully insured against theft, fire, and more. Maximize your purchasing power today by going to vaultoro.com/Bitcoin takeover. This is not financial advice, but gold has been humankind's most reliable store of value in the last 6,000 years. Do your own research. Use promotion code TAKEOVER for a one-time bonus of 1 gram of gold for the first 50 new customers buying gold with Bitcoin. Are you concerned that your friends, neighbors, or KYC exchange might know how much Bitcoin you own? It is time to take your financial privacy seriously with Wasabi Wallet, a free and open source wallet solution which makes use of mega CoinJoins to mix your coins with those of hundreds of other strangers. Thanks to the groundbreaking Wabi-Sabi engine, your coins get divided in smaller, untraceable units, which grant you great anonymity for both hodling and spending. Download Wasabi Wallet 2.0 today at wasabiwallet.io and take advantage of the mega CoinJoins. It's free and it's open source, so don't trust, verify. What are you going to wear when Bitcoin hits $1 million? The same old $20 t-shirt? Try Maison Machi, the designer clothes made in Paris by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. They're not your average mass-produced sweatshop clothes. Machi will ask for your measurements and tailor every piece of clothing according to the shape of your body, so you always look and feel great in your t-shirt, hoodie, or dress. It's all made in France by real artisans who also happen to be Bitcoiners, which is why Maison Machi only accepts Bitcoin as payment for their clothes. Get a Maison Machi t-shirt or hoodie today. It might even help you find a girlfriend. And once you do get a girlfriend, you can also buy her a Maison Machi dress. Stop having fun looking poor and check out maisonmachi.com. That's MAISONMAACHI.com. Right. We spoke about your contributions to JoinMarket, Bitcoin Core, SatSale. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, SatSale or Satoshi Sale.
Yes. And you also work on RaspiBolt, which is a website with a full guide on how to set up a Bitcoin Core and the Lightning node on your Raspberry Pi. I think it was set up by Staticus from Shift Crypto.
Yeah.
What are your contributions to that project?
Well, with that project, the idea was that I was actually from Lightning node implementations, I prefer Core Lightning, or it's called C Lightning. But I also wanted to have like LND, somewhere running LND, so I can, compare those softwares. And actually I have wrote some scripts for Core Lightning that emulates some commands from LND, which I like back in the like fee report and stuff. So I just wanted to have at home like LND also running. I initially did that with Raspberry Pi actually, but nowadays I bought it's called Odroid HC4. Like it's more powerful ARM box. Raspberry Pi is too slow for me. My mental system cannot handle so slow computers. So yeah, I just I like it, that approach, that it's guide. It's not some installer or whatever, because that allows you to understand better how everything works. Besides, from even before Bitcoin, I really like Gentoo Linux, which is Linux distribution, which also by default doesn't have installer. It's like guide, which gives you what commands you need to enter in your console to set up your system. And of course, I found some things we could improve there, like some configurations or whatever. That's how I started contributing to it. And how it happens with open source, you start contributing, and at one moment you are already maintainer, because people decide like, okay, we will give you commit access. You are doing great contributions. But one motivation for me was also that I kind of trying now to experiment with helping people, like, I don't know, run nodes, like accept Bitcoin payments, etc. And most of those guides that are for RaspiBolt, you can use with any Debian-based Linux system. There are small differences. For example, if you don't run ARM, you run x86, then there is like sometimes some different download links or whatever. But that's how I started contributing, and but I don't think that's the most important project I'm contributing. And actually, it's, I think, not the most popular from now those full node, like I don't know how to call it, distributions.
I think they're operating systems for the Raspberry Pi. That's a fair way to describe them.
Yeah, I think I heard it from you. Yeah, you at some point called them operating systems, but I don't see it as operating system. It's more like distribution that you do on top of operating system.
Yeah, anyway, I want to extend the conversation.
With operating systems, it's a strange story, because before Bitcoin, I was interested in operating system design and architecture in kernels, and actually I developed my own operating system from scratch. It was nice. It had Tetris. I ported Tetris to it.
Wait, so you created your own from scratch without taking code from Linux or whatever?
Yes. I'll do. When I was 15 years old, I studied Linux, I think 0.01 version, like very first version of Linux. I studied when I was 15 years old that code to understand how it works.
That's super impressive. So why did you build your own OS? What kind of optimizations did it have?
It was just, when you are, I don't know, 16, 17 years old, you don't think that way. You just want to do it. It helps actually to understand better how computer works. Because you need to write like driver for keyboard, driver for screen, like everything. You need to know some assembly language and stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like people in the 80s and the 90s, they were doing this. I'm not sure how old you are, but you probably were doing this in the early 2000s or something.
Yeah, something like that. I'm born in 80s, yes.
Yeah, so that's still super impressive that you created your own operating system. If you were to create another operating system today, how would you make it different from what you have in Linux distributions? Like, would you make a super privacy-friendly one or one that has better security?
From Sky, actually, I'm big fan of. There is that definitions called real-time systems that basically you don't optimize speed for most of the scenarios, but for wrong case scenarios, then maybe system in overall will be a little bit slower, but it will be more predictable. As a desktop user, I just hate when my computer freezes. There was like back in the day, I think QNX was very popular that was doing that. Not very popular, but it had some traction. But nowadays, I think it's more important to work on Bitcoin than to try to build your own operating system.
Yeah, agreed. And let me take this from RaspiBolt into RaspiBlitz, which is basically a fork of RaspiBolt with some improvements, which also has some of its own suites of applications. And one of them is JoinMarket, actually. That's the first time when I experimented with JoinMarket, when I ran my own RaspiBlitz node, and it was there in the applications that you can download. I got that one, I got BTC Pay, I got Electrum, and I started playing with them.
Mm-hmm. I think what RaspiBlitz, I haven't used RaspiBlitz myself, but I think what they did, they just took that RaspiBolt guide and put that in the bash script so that there is like you just run some script and it installs everything instead of you doing commands manually. That JoinMarket app, I think you're talking about is JoinInbox.
I'm not sure.
Because in JoinInbox, the idea is that you have that, you connect to it and then it has like textual menus and stuff to do the things instead of typing commands.
That's a good question. I gotta look into it to see.
It was created by OpenOMS.
Most likely. So if it was created by OpenOMS, then it must be the one that you find.
Yeah, but I personally, yeah, I haven't used Raspberry. Actually, yeah, one contribution to the RaspiBolt, one of the biggest ones I did. I wrote JoinMarket guide for that too.
Yeah, so I'm looking in the GitHub repo for RaspiBlitz in the section that's about JoinMarket, and I see the avatar of OpenOMS right here. He has a guide on how to use it. So most likely it's his own implementation.
Yeah, it's basically he created some some scripts that creates some menu that actually you just select some menu items and it executes some commands from the JoinMarket.
Yep, I can see it. I'm watching a video right now, which serves as a tutorial on how to do it. But yeah, it's what you described. Anyway, it's interesting that you have all of these Raspberry Pi, I call them operating systems, you call them whatever, applications. But
distributions.
Distributions. And you use
because
them...
for Linux, that's how you use the name. Like Debian is distribution, Red Hat is distribution, but basically they just pack together the same software in some different ways.
Yeah, but this is the golden era of low-powered computing, and you can use these small devices that are cheap to do so much stuff, even beyond Bitcoin and Lightning. I think Umbrel was... You call it distribution. I'm gonna call it distribution. So Umbrel was the distribution that experimented the most with these features. And they have all sorts of applications to run your own server for pictures, for files, for something like Google Docs, all sorts of stuff that you can do. And I think also Start9 Labs with their, what's it called? Oh, I can't believe I... Start9. Embassy OS.
Okay. Yeah, I think I have heard that name. Well, yeah. Basically what they do, the people knew how to do that stuff before too, but what they do, they make it kind of simpler to just set up. I think in some you just do one click and then there is new software running.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's something that anyone can use with a point-and-click experience, and it's made so that you can connect your mobile phone to your server. So, for example, you can have like a cloud backup that you do from your phone directly to that server that you run from home. And I think this is a huge step forward. I'm not saying that the Raspberry Pi is the best hardware for you to do this, but it's a good place to start. And it's the rabbit hole.
For experimentation, definitely. What I didn't like also about Raspberry Pis and why I have that Odroid HC4, it has a cool thing. Okay, it's more expensive, but Raspberry is also now hard to get because of supply chain problems. It has 2 SATA slots for you can put 2 hard drives or 2 SSDs inside it. So it has that mirroring, and that's, I think, important if you want to run Lightning node. Because with on-chain Bitcoin, it's simple. You just do your backups, and even if drive crashes, you don't lose anything. But with Lightning, it's possible that if middle of the transaction, your hard drive crashes and doesn't write something. And actually, why I bought that, it was because cats at the home once did that to my Raspberry Pi with external drive. They just somehow smashed it down to the ground. And then they needed to resync. I didn't lose anything with Lightning, but I needed to resync all the blockchain, and it was pain. It's like, no, better just buy some proper hardware.
I mean, that's why I'm such a fan of this case from RaspiBolt. It's robust, it's sturdy, it can house a screen, and you can put the SSD inside. So
but
it's
only
just
1 or 2 drives.
Box.
But it's one drive only, right?
It's what?
Oh, only one drive you can put inside, right? Not 2. I'm not sure. I'm asking.
I think only 1. You can see it here.
With 2 drives, you can do that mirror stuff. Then you have like everything is written in both drives. If one crashes, then there is other. That's what you do, like with properly with servers and stuff. Like they have always that mirroring.
Yeah,
But
another issue, for example, is that you only have one SD card, and the SD card is from where you get the distribution. I'm not going to call it operating system, but the software runs from the SD card, and the Bitcoin and Lightning stuff gets stored on your SSD. But if you don't have the operating system or the distribution, you're not going to be able to participate anymore, I guess. If that part with the SD card crashes, it's no good.
yeah, if you have this on SD card, then actually I have in my setup the same. It has that other. It has Ubuntu server, so operating system. It runs from SD card in my setup. I only later figured out I could actually. I didn't know that device is able to boot from those ATA drives. I thought that okay, I need to put something on the SD card. The thing is, from time to time, it's good to just create backup copy of that SD card image on some computer or somewhere, so you can. Because the thing is, SD cards are the problem is with that SSD technology, like flash technology, that they have like SD card contains, there's a lot of pages, like 4 kilobytes or whatever, and they have limited number of erase cycles. And at one moment, SD card will die. With SSD drives, they solve that problem that they rotate that data all around the drive, so that wearing is like distributed across all the drive. But with SD cards, it's actually easy to make them at some point not working anymore. That's why it's not a good idea to put like log files on SD cards and stuff like that. That does a lot of writing all the time.
Yeah, but my point was that there is no opportunity for you in a Raspberry Pi board to have a backup for your SD card, unless I guess you connect it via USB.
Now you just shut down your Raspberry Pi, take out your SD card, put it in computer, create backup copy, put it back into Raspberry Pi and boot it back on.
Yeah, which is not ideal for a Lightning node because that one is supposed to be online all the time.
Yeah, of course, it's better to have it online all the time, yeah.
But I think you have the option to run a backup. So this one has like 4 USB ports, and you can put like a USB flash drive inside of it, and you can run a backup from time to time to save everything from the SD card to the external USB.
Yeah, okay. If they have automated that, that's cool.
I think they also automated with Dropbox or something, if you're into that. Which is still, it's still a backup. I'm not saying it's the best one that you can do.
It's if you actually with doing backups on stuff like Dropbox or Google Drive or whatever centralized service. Basically, as long as you encrypt it before sending it there, it's okay.
Well, of course, but by default, it's not encrypted. Yeah, anyway.
Okay, yeah.
Let me ask you more about your contributions to privacy in Bitcoin and why you chose JoinMarket. I think if you contributed to Wasabi right now, you could be making more money than you make in JoinMarket. So what's up?
Wasabi didn't exist when I started contributing to JoinMarket.
Oh, you're taking it from the OG standpoint, like they're not worthy of your attention.
No, not that way. No, just when I started contributing to, first I started using JoinMarket and then contributing. Basically, I think it was the only one in existence at that point. Because I think both Samurai, Wasabi, everything came afterwards. because Nopara, before doing Wasabi, I think he tried to do some user interface for JoinMarket, like graphical one.
Yeah, that's the story. And he also had Tumblebit, which was a different project.
Yeah, and then there's the Tumblebit project. Yes, right.
Yeah, privacy in Bitcoin, it's a long story. Like, people have actually tried. Before JoinMarket, there was dark wallet, but that one, as far as I know, was never delivered.
Yeah, that was what Amir Taki was doing with somebody else also.
Yeah, it's funny.
Right.
Even Vitalik was contributing to dark wallet.
Okay, I wasn't contributing to Bitcoin back then, so I think I maybe was already owning some Bitcoin and like reading about it, but I wasn't contributing as a developer back then. Yeah, I think that the very also important topic is Lightning Network, and we should look more into that and how to improve privacy there too. Although I'm not the biggest expert in this planet on Lightning Network privacy yet.
Okay, so you have the Samurai people. They will tell you not to use Lightning because it's not private. What is your argument in favor of Lightning privacy?
Well, privacy is like, it's not, there aren't like silver bullets. There aren't simple answers. Like this one is absolutely private and this one is totally not private. There are some privacy benefits with Lightning. Well, first, there is not permanent public ledger like blockchain that has all the transactions. So I personally prefer to pay with Lightning Network, whatever possible. Both because of course, also transaction fees and settlement time, but also privacy. I haven't studied too much all the research papers about Lightning privacy. I know that there are technologies how to like try to figure out for all the channels in which side of channel or what amount of satoshis. But it's also kind of like active probing. It's not something like blockchain that I can. With blockchain, I can take something like happened today and I can analyze it after 20 years. With Lightning, I definitely cannot do that. Lightning is kind of more private for sender than receiver. That's the thing. But then again, like if you buy something from big merchant, they anyway are not private. That's issue only if you do some peer-to-peer deal with unknown counterparty.
Right, so we should mention about Lightning privacy that basically the information about your transaction doesn't get broadcasted to the entire network. Yes. And it's not every Lightning node that stores your transaction. And that's the privacy improvement compared to Bitcoin, where you have the pseudonymity. You can
compared to Bitcoin blockchain, because Lightning is Bitcoin.
Of course. But the advantage is that only the parties with whom you have opened a node and are directly involved in routing the transaction know that it actually happened.
Yes. Plus, you can try to do some active probing. I think the idea, the 1 week point was that I could take a channel and then I can try to route some big transaction through it. And if it doesn't have enough capacity, it will give me back error. There is not enough capacity in that end. And then I can just lower it by, I don't know, 1 Satoshi or 10 Satoshis or whatever until it succeeds. And I don't lose much money because I'm basically sending money from myself to myself. So I lose some few Satoshis in routing fees.
Okay, but what's the point of this probing? Just to test the routes or what?
If you do that often enough, you can figure out which channels do some routing with which amounts. Because you can build, in theory, like database, like in time, how the balance changes inside the channel.
So basically it's like spying, trying to send transactions to test the capacity of each channel, and then you figure out how much they're routing.
But the difference is like with blockchain, I just download the blockchain and I just slowly analyze everything. With this, I need to do active probing. I think there was some more attacks figured out by people, but still, I think for most people, Lightning will be like more private way. Like imagine if I will have Blue Wallet and you will have Blue Wallet installed, and we send transaction to each other. If we do Lightning network transaction between each other, of course, Blue Wallet knows everything about our transaction. They don't know who we are, but they know, okay, there is wallet X and wallet I, and we send in that date that amount. If we do the same with on-chain transaction in simple way, then potentially not only Blue Wallet, but most of the world knows about the transaction.
Yeah, I think Chami and eCash banks work on the same principle, that you only have privacy. So you have privacy against the rest of the world except for the service provider, for the banker who provides this liquidity pool. So that's how Blue Wallet works. But my point right now is that with Blue Wallet, you can customize it to connect to your full node.
Yes. Then it's, of course, then it's different. I just wanted to give the example, the simplest way, how most people will use Blue Wallet or whatever mobile wallet, that most likely they don't configure it to go to like on-chain to their Electrum server and Blue Wallet of Lightning Wallet to their own node. So in that way, Blue Wallet knows everything, of course.
Do you think we should keep on improving on-chain privacy, like make all transactions taproot, or maybe add confidential transactions if we figure out how to do it without a hard fork?
We should always, I think, work on improving on-chain privacy. I'm more always thinking less about potential soft forks and hard forks and stuff, and more think what we can do right now. With Taproot, the problem currently is that there is the total amount of Taproot transactions is not too big. So your privacy set kind of gets smaller if you use Taproot. But that will change definitely at some point. At least I hope so. But of course, we need to improve privacy, like on-chain privacy, because for example, Lightning channel openings, we need to improve privacy there. There is, by the way, the project, I think now called No Looking. I haven't studied it too much, but it's something about but it works only for LND right now. But the idea is to open Lightning channels with pay joins, I think. Pay join is form of CoinJoin. So basically with CoinJoins. Because with Lightning, also, of course, one problem is that, if you are routing node, your channels are public. Everybody sees the opening transaction, closing transaction, your node. If you run your node from ClearNet IP address, then your UTXOs are tied to your, for example, home IP address, etc. And so we need to improve, I think, privacy also there.
Okay, so we talked about on-chain privacy, we talked about Lightning, we talked about your contributions to open source projects. What else is there to mention about your work? What are you up to? Like, you already seem busy, but is there anything that we are missing?
Yeah, well, one thing I think I didn't talk too much when I was mentioning that the contributions to SatSale, and also the BTC Pay server goes in the same category. That I think we need, like when people were doing that years ago, I think it's just too early, but maybe now it's time to more work on merchants accepting Bitcoin directly. And before, for a long time, I thought like, okay, if merchant accepts Bitcoin and then sells it for fiat, then what's the point? I can as well sell my Bitcoin for fiat and then spend fiat when buying stuff for merchant. What changed my mind a big way was those Canadian trucker protests. Remember, there was that thing that Canadian truckers were like blocking streets and protesting, and then government closed their bank accounts and closed the bank accounts of people who donated money for them. And then some people just started taking Bitcoin donations and giving to them the Bitcoins. But the problem was that it's not so easy for them to spend Bitcoin, especially if they are not Bitcoiners, right? They cannot go to a KIC exchange because they are blocked from that too. And so if they could, I don't know, buy fuel and food with Bitcoin directly, it would also help like with privacy and freedom.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Basically, all of your contributions are based on needs that you observe around you and stuff that you think you should bring into existence.
Yeah, it's like historically why I didn't like when I started learning about Bitcoin, why I didn't contribute like with a code or something at first, because initially I thought like, okay, there are those smart guys in universities writing scientific papers about new privacy techniques, and no, that's not my level. I cannot do that, most likely. I don't know, mathematically prove that this is private or whatever. But then I understood that, yeah, but somebody needs to do actually practical some stuff, and we need that more, and that has changed like last few years, like for example the same I don't know, people like projects like RaspiBolt, like people building their own nodes. That's not some big breakthrough, but that's giving something practical that people can now have more easy ways to run their own full nodes. BTC Pay server, I think, was a very important project because it's before BTC Pay server, basically you didn't have easy way to accept Bitcoin payments without using third parties or coding your own software for that.
The point of BTC Pay was to make BitPay obsolete. That's how it started.
Yes. Because BitPay was security hole, trusted third party.
Yeah, so I was about to ask you, how can people follow you and contribute to the projects on which you're working and contact you in case they have any sort of needs for starting in open source?
Okay, I'm on both in GitHub and Twitter as Kristaps Kaupe. I don't know, maybe you can put that in description afterwards.
Oh, I will. But there are people
Yeah.
who listen to this on Spotify and they're not gonna check any sort of description.
Yeah. Yeah, Twitter.com Kristaps Kaupe and GitHub.com Kristaps Kaupe. I'm not sure how English people can understand my, precise pronunciations of Latvian names and surnames, but
It's Kristaps K. It's Kristaps with a
yeah,
K.
you can.
Kristapsk. That's how you spell it.
Yeah, and you can just look at, for example, JoinMarket, like contributor list, and I will be there, like in GitHub.
So thank you very much for this interview, Lord Kristaps. It was a pleasure. We spoke a bit after our panel in Riga, and it was my plan to get everyone who was involved in the panel on the podcast, but I guess it's useful before we do like a big conversation about Bitcoin privacy to have each participant in private, and that's not a pun, and discuss about what they're doing and introduce them. And maybe we can also do that conversation in 5 with, I think there was Ricardo, Adam, you, and the guy from IVPN.
Yeah, I think so. Well, that could be a long one, I think.
Well, I enjoy having these conversations, and I thank you very much for your time. And if you haven't already, and not just you, Lord Kristaps, everyone listening, subscribe, hit that like button, and do whatever, to boost this podcast across all platforms.
Hey, thank you for having me.
After Mt. Gox collapsed, that was really the precipice of me saying, right, this has to change. We need a totally transparent exchanging system and base it on gold instead of fiat.
Vaultoro is the hard money exchange which helps you beat inflation with instant swaps between the best stores of value known to man, gold and Bitcoin. Unlike most exchanges, Vaultoro understands the importance of transparency and security. All gold holdings are secured in top-tier Swiss private vaults and fully insured against theft, fire, and more. Maximize your purchasing power today by going to vaultoro.com/Bitcoin takeover. This is not financial advice, but gold has been humankind's most reliable store of value in the last 6,000 years. Do your own research. Use promotion code TAKEOVER for a one-time bonus of 1 gram of gold for the first 50 new customers buying gold with Bitcoin. Are you concerned that your friends, neighbors, or KYC exchange might know how much Bitcoin you own? It is time to take your financial privacy seriously with Wasabi Wallet, a free and open source wallet solution which makes use of mega CoinJoins to mix your coins with those of hundreds of other strangers. Thanks to the groundbreaking Wabi-Sabi engine, your coins get divided in smaller, untraceable units, which grant you great anonymity for both hodling and spending. Download Wasabi Wallet 2.0 today at wasabiwallet.io and take advantage of the mega CoinJoins. It's free and it's open source, so don't trust, verify. What are you going to wear when Bitcoin hits $1 million? The same old $20 t-shirt? Try Maison Machi, the designer clothes made in Paris by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. They're not your average mass-produced sweatshop clothes. Mashi will ask for your measurements and tailor every piece of clothing according to the shape of your body, so you always look and feel great in your t-shirt, hoodie, or dress. It's all made in France by real artisans who also happen to be Bitcoiners, which is why Maison Mashi only accepts Bitcoin as payment for their clothes. Get a Maison Mashi t-shirt or hoodie today. It might even help you find a girlfriend. And once you do get a girlfriend, you can also buy her a Maison Mashi dress. Stop having fun looking poor and check out maisonmashi.com. That's MAISONMAACHI.com.